Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Unity on the North Shore's virtual Sunday service. I am Kate Jordan. I'm going to be your worship assistant and your youth and family ministry director this morning. Today, our speaker is our senior minister, Rev. Kurt Condra, and our guest musician, we are so glad to have her with us today, Summer Osborne. We welcome you. So glad to have you. Diane Testa is going to serve as our prayer chaplain this morning. Thank you, Diane. And we look forward to sharing a wonderful morning with you. So join us now as we begin with prayer. Grateful and loving God, with quiet minds and full hearts, we open ourselves to your power and your presence. We gratefully receive the wonderful energies of divine light and love pouring in and through us. And we affirm we are here in this place on this morning for a divine purpose. We trust that that purpose is now being fulfilled, for we know we are now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. And so it is. Amen.
I'm standing on the corner with this cup in my hand, waiting for you to look me in the eye and really see who I am. I would give my last dollar for you to understand why I'm begging for change. When you look past the hate, 'cause you can't see past your pain, the words of oppression ricochet through my brain. They wanna take away my freedom and keep it that way. Well, I'm begging for change. We hold on so tightly to that which has been. We don't even remember what it is we're pushing against. It's the way they've always done it. It's all they can say. Well, I'm begging for change. I'm standing on the corner with this cup in my hand, waiting for you to look me in the eye and really see who I am. I would give my last dollar for you to understand why I'm begging for change. Changing the heart, oh, changing the soul. Changing the way that we seem to be headed if we don't change at all. I feel I'm losing my faith. It's why I'm begging for change. We carved out a canyon to march towards the light, but some of them wanna fill it up with their anger and spite. So I'm reaching out to you, 'cause you know we can't do this alone. Yes, I'm standing on the corner with this cup in my hand, waiting for you to look me in the eye and really see who I am. I would give my last dollar for you to understand why I'm begging my faith. That's why I'm begging for change. Standing on the corner with this cup in my hand, waiting for you to look me in the eye and really see who I am. I would give my last dollar for you to understand why I'm begging for change.
So powerful, Summer. Thank you so much. Unity is a positive, practical approach for spiritual living based on the teachings of Jesus and the power of prayer. We believe there is truth and beauty in every spiritual tradition, and so we honor the many paths to the one God. Wherever you are on your journey of faith, please know that you are always welcome here. Our vision and mission reflect who we are as a community and how we fulfill our spiritual purpose. So now, let's speak our vision and mission statements aloud, for we know that by conscious intention and the power of the spoken word, we activate the power of God to express in our lives and in our world. You'll see our vision statement on the screen. Please say it with me. Together, centered in spirit, we co-create a world that works for all. And now, our mission. We are an empowering, diverse spiritual community experiencing spirit within to create a peaceful and prosperous world. If this is your first Sunday with us, we want to extend a loving and warm welcome to you. Upon discovering Unity, many of us were surprised to learn that there was a spiritual community that thought and believed the same things we did. It felt like coming home. We hope your experience this morning is equally powerful and that you'll return and share many Sundays with us. We also invite you to join our virtual garden chat fellowship after the session. You can stay on, chat with other people, say hi. It's a lot of fun, so we hope you stay on. And now, go ahead, Summer, take us away into our group song.
Okay, the words to the chorus are super easy. I will help you. And since you're at home, I won't be able to hear you, so sing as loud as you possibly can. A Japanese scientist, Dr. Masaru Emoto, performed an experiment with water. He took samples from rivers, lakes, oceans, tap water, bottled water, and he separated it into two groups. On one group, he attached words of love. On the other group, he attached hateful words. Then he froze the water and he looked at it under an electron microscope. And for every single sample with words of love attached, they froze into beautiful symmetrical crystals. I have to use my hands. And for every sample with hateful words attached, they froze into ugly blobs. So it makes me wonder, if our bodies are 70% water, then what are our thoughts and words doing to ourselves and to each other? So I wrote this song. We're going to sing it together. And when you sing these words, direct the intention to yourself. This song was meant to heal you. I am here, I am whole as I am. I am safe, I am loved as I am. I am grateful and I'm free. I'm as perfect as can be. I am here, I am whole as I am. I am here, I am whole as I am. I'm safe, I'm loved as I am. I am safe, I am loved as I am. I am grateful and I'm free. I'm Nothing can illuminate the darkness like a serenade. Nothing can make peace like a song. We've got a ways to go, but then we're closer than we've ever been. So let's walk together on and on. I am here, I am whole, as I am. I'm safe, I'm loved as I am. I am safe, I am loved as I am. Grateful and free, I am grateful and I'm free. I'm as perfect as can be. I'm as perfect as can be. I'm here, I'm whole. I am here, I am whole as I am. I propose a family that looks a lot like you and me, including all the people that we love. Then we'll take a photograph of everybody as they laugh, put it in the book entitled Us. I am here, I am whole, as I am. I'm safe, I am loved, I am safe, I am loved as I am. Grateful and free, I am grateful and I'm free. Perfect as can be, I'm as perfect as can be. I am here, I am whole as I am. May seem just like a song, may seem just like a thought, but it soon will take hold and become a truth that's taught for generations and generations and generations. I am here, I am whole as I am. I am safe, I am loved as I am. Oh, just as I am. I am grateful and I'm free. I'm as perfect as can be. I am here, I am whole as I am. I am here, I am whole as I am.
Thank you, Summer, for that beautiful song. We are very grateful for it. Good morning, everyone. I'm Diane Testa, and I'm your prayer chaplain this morning. So let us start by reflecting on today's daily word. And as I read aloud the words you hear spoken to become a silent and powerful meditation for you. So the daily word for today, June 7th, is joy is my constant companion. I discover reasons to feel joyful every day, even in the most challenging circumstances. I begin by centering my awareness on the Christ, the divine presence within. I feel love and peace lift my heart, and possibilities for good fill my thoughts. I am joyous. I may experience joy as exuberance, delight, and wonder. Joy may also come quietly as the peaceful assurance of God's presence wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. My awareness of joy brings a glow to even the most ordinary day. As I engage wholeheartedly in all that is mine today, I share my joy with everyone through kind words, a sunny smile, a warm and welcome to everyone I meet. I radiate joy and bless the world with my positivity, happiness, and bliss. And from Psalm 118, verse 24, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So now I invite you to relax and let go and focus on your breath as we move more deeply into a sacred time of prayer. Let's take some deep breaths. Close your eyes if you'd like, and go into your heart space, that sacred space where you can feel the presence of the divine within. God is present in and around us and our loved ones right here and right now and always. Let's rest in the silence in prayer for yourself and your loved ones. Everyone is a unique expression of the divine. Take a look around. As God's creation, every person is of irreplaceable beauty and worth. We share a divine heritage with everyone we meet. We let go of limiting and harmful behaviors and beliefs. We create an atmosphere of goodwill in which we can grow and learn. And so it is, and so we let it be. Thank you, God. Amen. If you would like prayer support, please feel free to add your prayers in the chat box on whatever side, the right or left side of your screen, and it will become a community prayer for all of us to pray over. Thank you.
Forget what they told you. Forget what they said. Forget all the lies and the stories that you make up in your head. 'Cause it ain't a question of things working out. Everything will unfold as it does without a doubt. You survived your life up to this point. Every obstacle and disappointment. Don't try to pretend that this is the end. You are so much more than you give yourself credit for. So take it easy, baby. It's okay. Everything's a cycle, and this too shall pass away. So do what you can for the moment, but your worrying won't help. Don't forget to be kind to yourself. Don't forget to be kind to yourself. Maybe you're tired, maybe you're lost, maybe you're worried about the future or the past for what it costs. But did you know you have all that you need? Every tool required to set yourself free. want it, go get it, the time is now. You only take what you allow, so don't try to pretend that this is the end. You are so much more than you give yourself credit for. So take it easy, baby. It's okay. Everything's a cycle, and this too shall pass away. So do what you can for the moment, but you're really okay. And don't forget to be kind to yourself. Oh, don't forget to be kind to yourself. You're pushing too hard against this storm, but if there were a drought, you'd be praying for rain. Baby, don't you know that is what your feet are for? Stand still until the storm passes by. Or dig a new well when the water runs dry. Balance, that is what you're aiming for. So take it easy, baby. It's okay. Everything's a cycle, and this too shall pass away. So do what you can for the moment, but you're really okay. Don't forget to be kind to yourself. Oh, don't forget to be kind to yourself. Oh, yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah. Don't forget to be kind to yourself.
Thank you, Summer. Awesome. Just incredible. Right down to the last 3 chords. I just feel your heart and feel that desire to really know our own power. So appreciate you being here. Love you. Thank you. Let's see. We're starting a new series this month. It's June. Much of the country has traditionally celebrated the month of June as Gay Pride. That's why I wore such a colorful shirt today, showing my colors here. And it's been a little bit, I've wrestled with it a little bit because, of course, as LGBTQ myself, as a gay man, I do know oppression. And I also know that in these times of such incredible racial strife that there are deeper forms of oppression that are looking for healing. But Christina and I, Reverend Christina and I, decided that we would use the latest book from Worldwide Ministries. This is really a testimonial of LGBT folks who have found their way from a sort of wounding, especially by religious communities, to know their own power and truth and really be able to love themselves into a sense of wholeness. So it really was kind of about becoming all of who we are. And that's really our theme. And I think that still holds. But as I've been working with the ideas, I'm thinking what I'd like to do this morning is share a little bit about how the experience that I have had and sort of the challenges that I may have faced has really shaped my capacity and ability to be present now for the rights of others. So if you'll indulge me a little bit, I want to talk a bit about my story and then move into how maybe each of us has a similar capacity to be able to step forward in a way that really can bring about transformation, especially around the incredible oppression that race, the incredible role that race has played in oppression in this country. So that's kind of the theme I'm headed for. I want to start with a story from the Old Testament. This is from the book of Numbers. And it involves the Exodus, the journey of the Israelites moving out of Egypt and toward the Promised Land. This is a story we don't hear about quite as much as some of the others. Certainly the Israelites had been traveling the desert for a while. They'd been wandering for a while, but they had come to the land of Canaan. They were really camped out on the outskirts of the land of milk and honey. This was the promised land that they had been told was awaiting them. And while there had been some strife and some challenge all the way through, at this point now they're there. And the way forward, Moses detected, as God sort of directed him, was to send 12 scouts, one from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, into Canaan to do some reconnaissance, to figure out if they really could take the land of Canaan for themselves, right? So these scouts went into, they spent 40 days kind of gathering data, gathering logistics, gathering information about whether or not and how the Israelites might be able to make that their home. And what they found was incredible. They found that the land of Canaan was it even exceeded what they had held in their dreams, that it was so incredibly fertile, that the fruits that were grown there were larger than any they had ever seen. And they also found that the people there, the Anakites, were giants, that the people there were powerful, that the city was well fortified. So at the end of 40 days, all 12 of the scouts returned. And this is what they had to share in terms of their chances. He said, "The land that we have gone through as spies is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it are of great size. There we saw the Anakites, and to ourselves we seemed like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them." So they saw themselves as less than in terms of this Anakite, in terms of the Anakites. And of course, the way that this story ends, or this part of the story ends, is that the 10 who recommended that they could not take the city, that they move on. And so the rest of the tribes followed. There were two, however, who had a different opinion. And that was Caleb and Jeremiah. Caleb and Jeremiah felt that because the Lord was with them, they agreed with the diagnosis. They agreed with all the data that had been gathered, that indeed these were powerful people. Indeed, this was a land of giants. But they also felt that the Lord was with them, and so that they could take them. But the way the story ended was the Israelites fell in line behind the 10 who said that they could not. And so they left. They turned away. And the consequence of that, or the result of that, was that the Israelites spent another 40 years wandering the desert. And only Caleb and only Jeremiah, at the end of that 40 years, were allowed to enter into the land of milk and honey, into the land of Canaan. The reason I share this story is because it resonates with me a bit as a gay man. You know, I've talked before, I've been out since I was in my early 20s, and as I've been sort of reflecting on, though, my path and my journey, what I see and what I understand is that my sort of reaction, or my way through that coming out process of sort of standing proud in the gay community, has been more like following the 10 than it was standing up to the 2. Sometimes, you know, we look to the Bible for not only inspiration, but also for insight into how our own behaviors are sort of reflected by those that are in the Bible in the journey. And what I'm finding is in this case, it's not so flattering. But as I look back on sort of my own journey, I'm remembering that rather than be sort of a flag bearer of the gay movement, gay liberation movement, I've been more sort of I followed along behind, I would say. I'm not proud to admit that, but I think there's value in being able to recognize, and like Summer said, to be able to sort of hold that lightly, to be able to hold a forgiving heart in the places where we have not shown up in the way we have liked to, and to be able to accept that as part of our wholeness and part of our journey, and still integrate that into our own becoming, right? So that's why I'm sharing this. So just a couple examples from my own journey, my own life. I was fortunate to, when I first came out, I was in Southern California, which had a fairly vibrant gay community. And I can remember this instance very vividly in my mind, where I was at West Street Beach in Laguna, which is known as kind of the gay beach in town, just hanging out with friends and making new friends. And West Street Beach is this beautiful little kind of isolated cove at the bottom of these 60 or 70-foot cliffs and this big wide expanse of sand. It's just a gorgeous place. And the waves crash in. It's a kind of very rugged, beautiful space. And the beach itself is probably a half-mile long. West Street is at one end, and then at the other end, there are some other condos and homes. But the space where the gay community kind of celebrates and congregates is at the north end of that beach. And the south end tends to be kind of isolated and quiet. And so I had met this guy that I kind of wanted to get to know a little better. And so we just started walking down toward the south end of the beach. And we were really engaged in conversation, weren't really paying attention to what was happening around us. And when we looked up, we were at the end of that beach, and there's no way out of it. It's a cove that ends. So it's a sort of a cul-de-sac when you get to the end of that. And we looked up, and there was this group of teenagers. They were probably high school kids, maybe 5 or 6 of them. And they were coming at us with clubs that had nails in them, right? And by that point, what we recognized is that, you know, we couldn't go any farther. We were too far away for anyone else to really be assistance in terms of this. And he leaned over to me and he said, "Can you run?" and so, you know, that was our escape hatch. We weren't going to stand and confront, but we were going to run, which I think would have been a fine kind of strategy at that point. But as we were running, what we also hadn't noticed is that there were 2 elderly lesbian women who were also seated in beach chairs on the beach. And luckily, I mean, it ended, there was no violence that happened that day, but certainly there was enough fear in my heart. And when I looked over and saw these 2 lesbians, like recognizing that they too were in danger and making escape, she sort of looked at me. The older one looked at me like, what you're abandoning us here now? And I've always felt a little bit of shame around that. You know, it's sort of like, it's me not being Caleb in that moment. It's me sort of following the 10. It's too big a problem for me to face. And some of it's reactionary, some of it's whatever. But I've noticed that that's kind of been a pattern for me. Later, in my later 30s, when I was at a point in my life when I was really looking for a deeper kind of meaning, and I recognized that that meaning really was going to be about spiritual, a return to God, to what I had known and grown up with as a youth. I'd left church because whenever I sat in church, it felt like I was being judged or recriminated, and indeed there was a certain amount of repression that was happening even in pews. But in my mid to late 30s, I decided that I needed to have a spiritual dimension to my life, and I went back and did a whole lot of church shopping. And what I noticed is that even after I found unity, this was unity in Laguna Hills, what I noticed is that for weeks and weeks and weeks, I sat on the back row, really attracted by the message that I was hearing up in the front, but also listening for anything that might have felt oppressive or judgmental, or that might have been an attack on who I was. I sat in that back row because it was an easy escape, right? There was sort of, so what I'm sort of suggesting is there has been this pattern in my life in terms of standing up as a gay man that has been more about taking the easy way rather than standing up to the oppression that I was encountering, right? And I say that not in any kind of self-deprecatory way, but really as just an awareness about, wow. I mean, certainly I can speak to sort of areas in my life where it has been more courageous, but also this other dynamic where I've taken the easy road, or when maybe what Spirit was calling me to was a greater capacity to stand in truth and to be able to claim it, not only for myself, but for others who are experiencing that kind of oppression. Which brings me to where we are today, right? I mean, we're standing in a moment in time, a moment in American history, when I believe each of us is called to stand up in a way that recognizes that we're greater than the forces that are aligned against us. And I fully understand that racism, like the giants in the land of Canaan, that racism is a big, a monumental issue for us to be engaging, that it's endemic. I know that it's big. And I also know that God within each of us is bigger than anything we might face, provided we summon the courage to recognize that the real truth lies within that power we have within ourselves, right? So I believe that this is a point in our history when each of us has a choice to make. You know, we can be Caleb in this moment. We can stand up in whatever way that we're called to. Maybe it's marching, maybe it's protesting, maybe it's prayer and meditation, whatever it is that's ours to do, to be in this energy, to really confront and stand up against the injustice that is resulting literally in the deaths of Black and brown and people of color in this country. It's time for us to step into our own kind of inner Caleb, all of us. I want to share with you a story that I heard this week about a woman of color, a Black woman who works in, it's a multinational manufacturing organization. She's kind of a mid-level manager involved in sales and marketing there. And these managers have been meeting, these teams have been meeting for these last 3 months, and really senior management has really been pounding on them to gather data, to gather logistics. They want to know how they're to respond. They want to know if they need to retool manufacturing plants, or in some cases closing them down. So it's just been a pressure cooker in terms of their the staff ability to kind of figure out what comes next. And as an African-American woman sitting in on some of these teams, in some cases she's the only person of color who's representing of them. This week, or after the death of George Floyd, she found that she was just kind of incapacitated to even be able to care about what the logistics were for, or the implications for the manufacturing process, that what we're facing is far bigger. And she tried to sort of express that or make that known with a couple of her teams and be able to share what's really happening in her heart without people really being able to hear her. Until one senior level manager who had 60 or 70 direct reports did. And this woman wanted to be, this African-American woman, I'm gonna call her Roxy. That's not her name, but I'm gonna call her Roxy for the purpose of this. Roxy really had on her heart to be able to express her own story and how her story was like George Floyd, or is like George Floyd. And so this senior level executive gave her that forum. She announced a meeting to all of her direct reports, her 60 or 70 reports, and invited people to come into this meeting so that as a company, believing that it was in the best interest of the company to have a greater understanding about how racism was impacts every area of our lives, including our work lives and our economy. So without really knowing what exactly she would be sharing, Roxy sort of stepped into this venue. It was actually earlier this week, prepared to really be vulnerable and prepared to share what was going on in her life. And what she noticed is these 60 or 70 people, this is a lot like we're seeing here today. You know what, I invite you now, if you're watching me right now, if you're in speaker view, go up and just look at the gallery view. So, you know, I talked earlier about how that looks like the Hollywood Squares or the Brady Bunch, and just flip through. And what you notice is what happens, I think, on millions of Zoom calls around America, as we've all gotten kind of used to this, is most people are kind of there, they're listening, but for the most part, cameras was off, and you're kind of anonymous in the background there. And what Roxy noticed is she began to share her story, you know, about how she had experienced racism in the context of her work life. She didn't share specific instances or for specific people, but just making it known of what her experience was in working in professional life in corporate America. What she noticed is cameras started to come on. And then she got to a really beautiful and vulnerable story about the fear that she held for her own brother. Her older brother suffers with autism. And she has this tremendous fear in her heart that if he were ever to have any kind of encounter with the police, he wouldn't respond appropriately. He may run, he wouldn't be able to answer their questions, and he would very likely be shot and killed. She holds that in her heart as a part of, you know, caring for her family dynamic. And what she noticed as she's sharing more and more and more of her own story is that more and more people are tuning in. And she starts to feel this incredible sense of support from coworkers who had largely been anonymous or who had been hidden behind still pictures or cameras, because people were willing to make themselves visible and stand up as sort of a spontaneous and impromptu way of backing her. And she felt that, she experienced that. At Unity on the North Shore, one of the things that we're most proud of is that we're a fairly diverse congregation. We have a fair number of Black folks who are in our membership. We have some Asian members, we have Hispanic members, we even have a Hispanic associate minister right now. And we're really proud of that, you know? And I also know we also wonder, like, what can we do against this monolithic kind of institution of racism that is harmful to so many? What is it we do? How do we show up? And what I'm suggesting is that right here, right now, we have an opportunity to stand for social justice, to stand against racism, to really express our support for the Black and brown people in our community, right? And it's a simple thing to do. What I'm going to invite us into is, and for the Black and brown people on this service, what I would like you to do is just to be able to kind of kick back and just see if you can't feel the love and support that this congregation holds for you. And to know that that's reflective far beyond this circle of friends, but to know that that's reflective of an energy that's sweeping across our nation right now. We see it in protests and demonstrations, but I would love for us to be able to demonstrate that even more visibly. So what I'm going to invite you to do is, if you don't have your camera on right now, I would invite you to consider hovering around the bottom of your screen and being brave enough to come on camera and show your support. Make that a point of solidarity for the Black and the brown and the people of color sitting on this call with us right now. You have an opportunity to sort of say, hey, I stand with you. It's an opportunity to express our own sort of regret and grief around the incredible pain that those who are not white in this culture have experienced just by being in this culture. You know what I'm saying? So, and if you're on your phone, I know it's a little bit different, but you still have the capacity and the capability to sort of flip through and see the cameras coming on. So if you don't have your camera on, I invite you to join us in a state of solidarity. And I'm thinking that we can even take it a little bit farther and do a little heart sign, you know? Do a heart sign. And for the people of color on us, I want you to just flip through these pages and look at the faces and know that that's reflective of the love and the support we hold for you. That's reflective of the regret and the sort of apology we hold in our hearts for the pain that you suffer as a result of not being white in this community. And to know that it's a reflection of our commitment to do everything that we can to transform that. To recognize the places where our own blindness to white privilege actually perpetuates that. We stand with you today, desirous of a new way of showing up. And Summer, I'm going to invite you to just sort of be a soundtrack to the power and the love that we're holding for folks. And I understand that some of you don't have cameras, so no judgment if you don't have your camera on. But if you can, I would also invite you to open up the chat stream. You can send blessings, you can ask for amends, you can make an apology, whatever's on your heart, whatever show of support that you want to give to the people of color in this congregation, in this community. I invite you to share that and just for a few moments, let Summer's beautiful sort of anthem to the power that each of us has to be an energy that we speak into this incredible moment that we can be a part of a greater healing.
I am here, I am whole, as I am. I am safe, I am loved, as I am. I am grateful and I am free. I'm as perfect as can be. I am here, I am whole, as I am. feel a burning in your chest. You know you're different than the rest. Sometimes it makes it feel like you could cry. When you're looking at the world through the heart that's on your sleeve, rather than your saline eyes. And sometimes it scares you to death. And sometimes it stops you in your tracks. Sometimes it makes it feel like you're pushing for nothing. But then everything gets quiet and the world moves in slow motion. And that little voice inside you whispers, do something. This is your call. You're called to be the one who will inspire, climb mountains, start a fire that shines brighter than the sun. And you will not waver, you will stand tall, you will be brave. You're gonna be the difference between loving and resistance. So hear me when I say, you are able, you're willing, you're strong. And this is your call, yes. This is your call, yes. So be the love, and love will be. Be the change you want to see. United we will stand, divided we will fall. 'Cause I'll be with you till there's liberty and justice for all. This is your call. You're called to be the one. You will inspire, climb mountains, start a fire that shines brighter than the sun. And you will not waver, we will stand tall, we will be brave. We're gonna be the difference between loving and resistance. So hear me when I say, we are able, we're willing, we're strong. We are able, we're willing, we're strong. You are able, you're willing, you're strong. And this is a call, yes. Listen to me, child, this is your call. This is our call. This is our call. This is your call. This is your call. This is your call. This is your call.
Kurt, you're muted.
You're muted.
Finally, is that it? Am I unmuted? Hello? Thank you.
We are hearing you.
I think we are fighting back and forth on the toggle switch. So I invite you just to look through, the screens. Oh, I see folks have turned their cameras off. Okay. But just know that as we move into a time of meditation, what I would like to suggest is that this beautiful energy that we've created together, this energy of support, this energy of solidarity, that actually becomes something that sustains us as we move out into the world and into our lives. I invite you to open your heart and your mind and just feel that. If you are a person of color, feel that support. Know that we are with you. If you are white, I would invite you to make an inner commitment to dedicate and consecrate yourself to truly supporting authentic change, and to know that that change starts within. That change starts by really embracing those parts of us that maybe had ignored the pain of others before, or maybe weren't aware of the pain of others before. And to know that that's a part of our privilege as white people. That we are blind to much of the suffering that happens to people of color simply because we don't have to be present to it. It doesn't arise as even a question or an awareness because of the way that our society has been structured. So we open our hearts and minds, and we simply allow Spirit to guide us and direct us, to inspire us to learn more about how we can be part of the change that we hope to see, to inspire us to stand up in a stronger way, to push away that image of ourselves as grasshoppers, and to know that we are powerful enough to confront this incredibly oppressive structure of racism that has been so much a part of this country's history, and to know that each of us has a role to play in it right now. And that right now it's more important than ever that we allow our voices and our love to be heard and felt. And so we open a way for all of that power and energy to fully express. We open a way for resilience, knowing that it will not necessarily be easy, it will not necessarily be fast, but that we have within us all of the capacity needed to be fully present in ways that will allow for a new way of being to come into fuller expression. We may not know exactly how, we may not know exactly what it looks like, but we do know that when we stand in truth, when we open our hearts and minds, that Spirit will reveal to us what's ours to do in each moment. Spirit will reveal to us when to step up, when to make our voices heard, when to pray, when to be. And so as we rest in just a moment of silence, I again simply encourage you to open your heart and mind that you might be fully present, not only to the energies of pain and suffering and strife and anger that are so much a part of this moment in our history, but even more to be cognizant of the incredible power of love that is rising up even now to create a transformation. Be present to the fullness and the allness of you, within you and as you. We rest in a moment of quiet reflection. Gently now, as we prepare to bring this time of quiet reflection to a close, I would invite you to join with me, and you can speak it aloud or speak it in your heart, knowing that We're grateful for love that heals. We're grateful that love that restores justice. We're grateful for love that inspires. And most of all, we're grateful for the love that truly can deliver us to the land of milk and honey. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
I have come to challenge your consciousness, to see if you can break these chains. Open your mind, open your heart to feel things you cannot see, and you will never be the same. No, you will never be the same.
So this is the time in our service for our giving and receiving. I would invite you to just stay in this wonderful energy that we know is a beautiful flow. It's expressive of how love flows. It's expressive of how good flows. It's expressive of how finance flows. And just know that truth. Know that in this time of sequestering throughout the pandemic, that there's a tendency to hold back, to restrict. There's a fearful energy. But know that what we believe in unity is the best way to sort of counter that. The best way to overcome that is to be a part of the flow and to give of our love, to give of our time, to give of our service, to give of our good and our financial good. It applies to good as well. So just invite you to hold in your hand and heart this intention for generosity and to give generously. I know some of you are joining us from Unity of Oak Park or other Unity churches. They also are facing the same expenses and challenges that Unity on the North Shore is, but know that it's through the generosity that each of us sort of cultivates that we can continue to create experiences where we can know truth, where we can bring spirit's expression into fuller fruition. So with that, let's see, there are a couple of ways that we have to give in this time of virtual giving. You can text. Using your phone, just dial that number, 815-827-6052. The first time you do that, there will be a little bit of setup. You'll enter a credit card number, but after that, it's just a couple of strikes. So that's a couple of keystrokes. So that's a really easy way to give. You can also give traditionally online at unityns.org. There's a give button at the top of every page, and you can give by credit card. You can use PayPal. There are a number of different pay processors that we have enabled there. Or of course you can send checks by snail mail to 3434 Central Street in Evanston, Illinois, 60201. So thank you for supporting us, for your support to this point. Thank you for being a part of the greater flow of love and good in the universe. And let's sort of wrap all this up with a wonderful consciousness that gets evoked by our statement of giving. Speak together with me our prosperity declaration. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Best part of life is living it. Best part of love is giving it. The very best thing about your pretty little smile is it's contagious. I'll catch it and share it for a while. Best part of the sleep is the dreaming it. Best part of the dream is believing. So I'm pretty sure before you fall asleep, you should know you are the best thing to me. You should know you are the best thing to me. Oh, baby. baby, just sit back and feel me. It's not hard, it's really easy. All you gotta do is love the skin you're in because you're beautiful, and then let it move you, satisfy and soothe you, knowing that it's you who makes all of the magic. You're a wizard and you know it, and life is supposed to be fun. Oh, the earth will turn and the sun will rise on you and me. Go low in separate guys, but the difference in the wrong and right side of the bed is which way you choose to roll. So push your bed up against the wall. Oh, baby, just sit back and feel me. It's not hard, it's real easy. All you gotta do is love the skin you're in because you're beautiful, and then let it move you, satisfy and soothe you, knowing that it's you who makes all of the magic. You're a wizard and you know it. Life is supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to be fun.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Summer. Life is supposed to be fun. Amen. Some brief announcements for you this morning. Of course, you're going to want to go to Summer's website. So let's take a look at that now. There she is in all of her glory. Summer, do you have any special events that we need to know about that are upcoming?
I don't have any events. Everything was canceled so much through September, October. So, but I do a lot of online concerts. So you can find me on Facebook to look for those. And also the music that you heard today, all of the music you heard today came from the album Spiritual Revolution and As I Am, which is on my website. They have links to where you can find them, stream them, download them. It's on. They're available on every streaming site.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. What powerful, joyous, and deep music you shared with us today. So thank you so much, Summer. Also, you're going to want to go and check out our YouTube channel. We got it going on social media and on YouTube. We're downloading our videos every week for you to see if any services that you missed that you'd like to go back and see. Also, those of you who last week got to see Sammy's video, we're going to have that posted as well. We have a wonderful Facebook group, Unity North Shore, a group in which we can talk more specifically with each other, have great conversations. It's a great way to connect. And then also through Facebook, the larger page you can post on Unity North Shore's Spiritual Center page, and through Instagram. So if you have photos you want to share, videos of what you're doing, we'd love to see you and love to hear from you. And now I'm going to switch hats and I'm going to talk about youth and family ministry. We got a powerful YFM going on through online. And so we're so blessed to do that each Sunday before our service here. Our grades K through 8 just began a new 3-lesson series with spiritual play dates, soul talks, title, Fair and Unfair. A very powerful topic to be discussing right now. And our young people were talking about how fairness is in lots of different situations, at home, at school, in our neighborhoods, and well as in our world. And you would be so thrilled to know the action that so many of our young people are taking in support of people of color this week. And we encourage them to keep moving forward with that. That fairness is for everything. It is fairness in gender, age, race, and life preference, that we want equality all the way across the board. We are one people. And in our YOU, our wonderful Clay Lindner led a lesson today that was based on a TED Talk by Robert Waldinger called What Makes a Good Life? And it's based on the longest study of happiness that's ever been done since World War II, following people. And what they realized is it all comes down to relationship and how important that is right now, right? Making those deep, meaningful connections. And so we thank all of our Soul School students for being there. We thank our teachers for their loving time and effort in coming together. And now I think it's time that we bless these wonderful children and teens. What do you say? So we're going to have that blessing on our screen. Let's say it together. Children and teens, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. We behold the Christ as you, and we see you doing great things. And so it is.
Thanks, Kate. And you're doing great things as well.
Well, thank you.
So just a couple more things. Prayer support. If you would care for prayer support, if you'd like to request it, we have a number of ways. We have an online prayer box you can reach from our website, unityns.org. Just click the prayer button. And we have a prayer team who will be unfolding those in prayer all this week. Also, you can leave a voicemail on our prayer line, which is 847-328-6123. There's a message of prayer on that line for you. And then if you leave the message, those requests are also forwarded to our prayer team. And lastly, you can call Silent Unity, which is our world headquarters. Unity was founded on the power of prayer, and Silent Unity has been praying with people around the clock for over 120 years. It's 1-800-NOW-PRAY. Just one last quick announcement. Hopefully most of you received an email this week. Unity on the North Shore is the proud recipient of a matching grant from the Templeton Foundation. We've been developing a wonderful sort of community here online in this Zoom environment. As we look toward moving back into a more normal experience back in church, we'll need some equipment to be able to continue with a live stream experience. So there are cameras involved, there's a computer, there are mixers, there are all kind of stuff. We've got a team that's been working on that. And we also have received a $4,000 matching grant that we're thrilled about. So we sent an email earlier this week inviting you to consider helping to support that effort. If we raise this other $4,000, that will give us pretty much everything we need to get up and running with a very basic system. The email went out last Friday, I believe it was, or Thursday, and we've already received $1,700. That's given. That's not even pledged. That's money that we've received online already. So if you're able to help with that over and above your regular giving, please visit the website. There's a banner on the homepage talking about the live stream match, and give generously to that so that we can continue this kind of connection with people outside the walls of the usual church. So that's all I got. Summer, if you would close us out in song, that would be absolutely fantastic. Again, so grateful that you were here with us today. What a powerful presence you are, and we definitely want to have you back again.
Yes, please. So we're going to do this a cappella because I didn't get the music ready, but also because we're going to really, really pay attention to the words and not have the background music to try to match pitch or whatever. We're not thinking about anything but these words. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment, there it is, in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you, Summer. That was so moving. Loved it without the music under it. Awesome. So join me for the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and I am divine. Join us for Garden Chat. Stay on if you'd like. Thank you.